Welcome back, friends, after a small break, and we came to the next episode of Spiritual Talks. So we were talking on importance of temples. Welcome back, Yash.
Thank you. Nice meeting you. Namaste,
So,
everyone.
coming and moving to the next question, what do you think the importance of temples in, especially in spiritual pursuit?
Okay. So normally we see temples from religious perspective
Right.
first, that they nurture the culture, the roots of the country. They create a heritage, legacy, history. All the subjective importance of temples, and obviously all these are very important because it gives direction to the masses. So as I said earlier also that religion is for masses, spirituality is for individuals. Both have their own importance and their certain place, positioning. Now, if I see from spiritual perspective, whenever the word spirit or spiritual comes in process, there are certain aspects which will come. First is body, second is breath, third is mind, fourth is soul. So when you use the word spirituality or spiritual, these four aspects will come and in the same order. You can't change the order. So it's like they say the body is the temple of God. So you can say, imagine that is a temple. Again, your own body is a temple, and the first layer of the temple would be obviously the body itself, the skeletal, muscular, cartilage system. Then comes the breath. Now, breath and body are very easy to measure. You can measure someone's pulse and see what is the level of breathing or health condition or heart condition. It's very easy. So body first, fitness of body, then the breathing, the kind of breathing. So as I said, breathing is of three kinds. The worst kind of breathing is shallow and fast. Better is deep and fast, and the best is deep and slow. So if someone is breathing deep and slow, definitely the health is better than someone who is breathing shallow and fast. Again, measurement is there. You see, you can measure it. Same for body fitness. And after body and breath comes mind. So from here the game becomes very subtle. Once mind comes in picture, the honesty level needs to be very high to judge whether you're growing or not. Because once you talk about the mind, unless you use electroencephalograph and certain devices which measure the brain wave frequency, for normal person it's not easy to measure the mental state. So normally, how you can measure the mental state? First of all, your heartbeat, your breathing, and your thoughts are connected. So you can yourself notice it. It's like very, very easy to see this difference. If you're very angry, if you're feeling very angry and stressed, you will see your breath will become shallow and fast. And if you go to a peaceful place, let's say you go to a very good temple where you get the right kind of environment and the right kind of audience, you will feel the peace. And anybody in a peaceful state anywhere in the world, and not only temples or any religious organizations, any religious structure, you will feel the breath becoming deeper and slower. So again, I'm coming to measurement. So your body's fitness, then breath being fit, then mental fitness, which is the stillness level. And a still person, how you can measure the mental fitness? How fast you can enter trance. So from here, mental health comes in picture, because after COVID, we have been trying to give a direction to people how to do self-measurement without going through any expensive equipments and all, just by yourself how to know you're healthy. So you can measure this by your mental health. You can measure mental health by the kind of thoughts you are getting and the gap between two thoughts. When you are very rattled, when you are disturbed, you will be thinking very fast. And when you are relaxed, you will be thinking relatively slower. So breath control is one of the methods of mind control, because as I said, your heartbeat, your thinking ratio and your breathing are connected. So if you make your breath deeper and slower, your mind has to become more relaxed. And if your mind is relaxed, your breathing has to be deep and slow. They are like the two faces of the same coin.
Interconnected always.
Connected. And then there are methods to change this apart from breath also, like visualization, creative visualization. Again, if there are issues which are deep rooted, something like mental health. So mental health is some aspects about culture, environment, like suppose health issues. When the COVID time was there, people were stressed. First was the stress of actual COVID virus. Second was the stress of a virus called COVID being in the environment. And many people got more affected by the stress of a COVID virus being in the society or in the country or in the world. So stress can be of various levels. So apart from that, mental health, you can measure the basic by your breathing, creative visualization. Then something like deep rooted issues, which are mostly streaming out from your childhood. And that also may include sibling competition, some ill treatment by some family member, some kind of bad treatment or abuse by someone, a lot of things. And the first 10 years of your life create this kind of mental environment, and it's inside you. Nobody can see that. And you're behaving a lot because your critical brain or critical mind develops a lot because of this particular aspect. So your mind also has layers: conscious, critical, then subconscious. I will not go to the deeper layers, but on the prime level, conscious mind, critical mind, and subconscious mind. So the critical mind is not present much when you're a child. As you grow up, this mind layer keeps getting stronger and deeper. It completely stores all the experiences, especially the shocking ones. So here is where the spirituality comes in picture, and here is where the temples will come in picture. If you go to a good temple which is properly maintained and the environment there is good, the environment there is, I would say, enhancing and nurturing your stillness, because stillness is God. Scientifically, if you ask me what is the closest element you can talk about God, I would say stillness. The more still you are, the more closer to God you are. The more is the gap between two thoughts, the more still and peaceful and relaxed you are. And mental and medical health also approves of this. Any human or animal which is breathing very fast will die early. You see tiger, it's such a strong animal, but it doesn't live long. Why? You see the breathing of tiger. And you see breathing of elephant or turtle. They breathe very deep and slow, and you see they have a long life.
Right.
So the more deeper and slower you breathe, that's a very good measurement. You can use your cell phone just on the stopwatch and see how you are breathing. And that's also, and if you are hell-bent on judging others, that's also a good way to judge. If your breath is shallow and fast, you can't be having a better mental health than someone who's having a deeper and slower breath. And that's the prime index of our spirituality. So spirituality includes, and all these are mentioned in our Shastras. Please understand, because we don't study Sanskrit, we are dependent on others who are interpreting Sanskrit and telling us things. A lot of time people tell me, ये शास्त्रों में लिखा है. मैंने कहा, किस शास्त्र में लिखा है? Tell me the verse number. Tell me the para number. You know, you have to make things. And this is what I want to encourage youngsters. Don't depend on someone's perspective. Anyone. If you want to be a rebel also, there has to be a particular technical method of doing it. Read the book. Learn the language. And guys, I know people who are learning so many languages. Why not Sanskrit also? That gives a great improvement in your own. First of all, this language has very, very technical aspects. Apart from the word exclusion, you find expression of every word in this language. It's such an amazing language. So why not learn it? And then when you see आपका अपना एक नजरिया डेवलप करेगा. You have your own perspective. I'm not saying listening to others is bad, but having blind faith on listening to others is very bad, because then you are not grounded. So your self-experience, your own experiment with your own truth has to be there. And for that, you must have knowledge about these things. So when you go to any good temple, you can measure the effect of it. I don't want to name any temple because that becomes like a publicity. But everybody knows there are certain temples very famous in India. There are certain Jyotirlings. There are certain Shakti Sthals. When you enter there, you feel the difference. I don't need to say anything. When you're really enjoying something, suppose you like some food item, you're really enjoying it, do you need to express it? You don't need any expression. The silence speaks for it. Any good moment in your life is best expressed in silence. Maunam sarvatra sadhanam.
Wow. Beautiful.
Silence can solve everything. I like Nikola Tesla also. He has certain other philosophies about this. You can solve every problem in this world. Every problem in this world you can solve if you think in terms of energy, frequency and vibration. So this goes on temple also. You go to any good temple, you see a change in your physical fitness, mental fitness, breath control, breath improvement, and then the concept of soul comes up. Now soul is something which only mind can measure. So every layer can measure the previous layer. So your breath can show itself on the body. So your body can know breath. Similarly, your breath can know your mind. And similarly, only your mind can know your soul. See the hierarchy.
Right, yeah.
Soul cannot be known directly by the breath. To know your soul, you have to go to a level of mind. To know your mind, you have to go to the breath. To know the breath, you have to go to the level of body. So, and my experience, soul is something against stillness. Now, if you study Buddhism, they have a very strong focus on willpower. So much that they say that your soul and willpower are nearly similar or same. Hinduism talks a lot about willpower being one of the prime elements or prime, I would say, organs of soul. So your willpower level, your stillness level, your concentration level, these are all inner elements which show, and you are the best judge. You can feel that, especially in time of crisis, not in time of good times. Nothing is tested in good times. Like Bruce Lee said, never ask for a good, comfortable environment. Ask for the power to go through the pain which you are going through in life. So you are not tested in good times. You are always tested in your bad times. That's why I like this kind of motivational speeches and quotes. When the going gets tough, the tough gets going. So that's when God will help you, but God will specially help those who are trying to help them. God will try to help everyone. God will help every devotee in whatever way possible, but God will always prefer to help those devotees first who are making their own efforts to help themselves.
Right.
So, because अगर आप हमेशा सिर्फ डिवोशन और हेल्प पे डिपेंड करते हैं तो आप कर्महीन बन जाते हैं. You start expecting it as your right.
Just by thinking that everything is destiny, सब भाग्य है.
Yeah, exactly. What we talked about is karma and bhagya. So a lot of people who are bhagyavadi, they will say everything is destined. And they will use this as an excuse to not do anything.
Right.
Whereas Bhagavad Gita doesn't say this. It tells very clearly that you have to do karma. Krishna, who can destroy the whole warriors in just 1 minute, is asking Arjuna to fight. And the best part, Arjuna is also so smart. Arjuna never lifts the bow when Krishna shows him the supreme form. Krishna shows him his Virat Swarup. Arjuna is still thinking. When Krishna says to him, मैं तुम्हें सारे पापों से मुक्त कर दूंगा, I will make you free of all the sins as a result of your fight, then Arjuna gets active. So this shows how, so people tell me that, oh, there are so many versions and translations of Gita, but Arjuna and Krishna had just one. I said, to have a teacher like Krishna, you have to be a student also like Arjuna.
Arjuna, true. Yeah.
Arjuna, if you study about Arjuna, he had amazing qualities. First of all, he was very disciplined. Karna was as powerful. Some people say even more powerful. But if you see Arjuna, he was very wise and very humble also. Humility is very important. Your being strong and great doesn't give you a right to be not being humble.
Right.
Many times I meet people who are bragging about their skills and they are hardly like on the standardization of the Himalayan structure, they're not there. But I still listen to them. क्योंकि बंद घड़ी भी दिन में 2 बार सही टाइम दिखाती है. Wall clock which has stopped also will show right time 2 times in a day. So even if you want to do anything, just be aware, listen first. Every good speaker is always a very good listener. Because once you have spoken, your position is fixed. Suppose I tell you that, oh, I like color green, or I tell you I like color red, so I have fixated my position to liking green and red respectively. So it's better to listen to others and then put your version first, even from a strategic angle. So all this comes up in this, that your spiritual development around temple, and if you go to a good temple, you will see a lot of shlokas written there.
Right.
Trust me, they are not casually written. If you have certain interest and if you have a good rapport with the priest there, they will tell you what it means. If you study certain books, if you study certain kind of religious books, there are shlokas and all which mean a lot. Like there's mention of Yug Sahastra Yojan Prabhanu. It's a very famous line about linked with Lord Hanuman, and he's telling about how far the author is telling how far in light years is sun from earth. If I say Yug Sahasra Yojan Prabhanu, so 12 years forms one yug as per the ancient system of calculation. So they are saying that how many light years far is sun from planet earth. So what I'm saying is that if you read these books from even from an investigative perspective, you will get a lot of ideas. But if you're not reading and without reading you're judging them, that's not the right perspective. Okay, you are free to do that, but at least not stop others who are doing that. Because there are a lot of people who are studying. There are a lot of great scientists from India who had great reverence for all these spiritual books. I'm using the word spiritual books. Why? I'm not using the word religious books. Spiritual because they have certain facts which will improve your mental, physical, breath and soul level health. That's why I use the word spiritual. They are measurable effects. If you follow certain things, certain patterns, all the yogas mentioned, Gyan Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, if you follow them, you feel results. It's not like you will not get results. But if you have not followed them and say that they are just stories, have you followed them? You don't get the right to say something in a story unless you have followed it.
Right.
That's called blind judgment. So you have to do something and then share your experience. You're okay to free to write it also, but don't do it in a judgmental way without doing the proper investigation. And that's what's required now.
Yes, very true. The judgment is really not a good thing, and we must understand, we must come to any conclusion after understanding it properly.
Yeah, this is what Gyan Yoga talks about. Gyan Yoga says that you have to make a choice. Every day we are making a lot of choices, and every choice is a judgment. But making a choice without investigating the pattern is wrong, and that's what Buddhi does. So again going back to Bhagavad Gita, today is becoming too much about this great book. So it says about man and it says about Buddhi. So your five senses, they report to man. But judgment has to be done by Buddhi.
Not by man.
Not by man. So a lot of times you will feel like doing something. Feel. But feel is man. Intellect, you have to consider intellect. And then comes Vivek, which is even superior to all this. Which is intuition, which is completely a different game. It comes after a lot of spiritual practices. A lot of people can literally second guess. Like even very good doctors, when they have to make a choice, they can literally second guess because they get very few seconds to make critical decisions in the case of a difficult surgical operation. But they can literally second guess what is the best thing to do. That's an intuition which develops by years of practice.
So in case of doctors, they can also,
Yeah.
they are always
Yeah.
intuitive, right?
Yeah. That's why I have huge regards for doctors also, because what they do is a very tough job. Look, they have to literally save a person's life, and they have to judge in a very small amount of time. Talking is too easy. Trust me, talking about something, expressing your views is too easy. Doing it actually and getting results is another level of game. And it's not only I am saying like this. There's a very famous quote by Bhishma that युद्ध की बात करना एक बात है और युद्ध करना दूसरा. Talking about a fight is different and really being in a fight is different. I've seen a lot of people who talk too much about fighting. When the real time comes, they can't fight. So that's why I'm saying that practice is very much required. Meeting experts is very much required. Again, I refer to Yudhishthir. So there's a chapter in Mahabharata when Yudhishthir is meeting a yaksh, and the other brothers drink the water of the lake without taking the permission of the yaksh, and they are falling. They're like nearly dead. Now again, listen that okay, you should not do such things. Yaksh was the owner of the lake, and you are not supposed to drink, and still you are drinking. Again, indiscipline. Right. So even great Pandavas like Bhim and Arjun go through the consequence. And then it's about Yudhishthir to save the situation. And the Yaksh asks a question that by studying which scripture you become great. And Yudhishthir answers, only and only by association you become great. Whatever and whoever you associate with, you start becoming like that. And it can be checked. You start talking to a particular doctor. You start talking to a painter, you start talking to a sports person. You see within 6 months, just by talking, just by associating, just by being in the aura of that kind of person, what changes comes inside you.
We start behaving like them, we start taking their habits, ideas, true. Yeah.
So, and this is all measurable again. I am again and again coming on this word. Please don't have blind faith on anyone.
Very true.
Have a measurement index, and that will do things.
So we have seen the temples are in certain shape, right? Yeah. So is there importance of temples in geometry perspective?
I think I would be answering this question using a reference of Pyramid Spiritual Society.
Yeah.
So you guys have a very good pyramid in Bangalore. So I have been fortunate enough to go there, and guys, you guys must visit this pyramid. And it's a very direct experience. It's first of all a real pyramid. You will feel it's a pyramid. You don't have to go to Egypt for this experience. So they have a king's chamber in this pyramid, and if you climb on that chamber, you reach that particular spot, they have somehow created that spot at the center of gravity of the pyramid. If you sit there, even for me who is trained to go through temperature variations, hot and cold, if you sit at that position, you'll start feeling sweating, the heat effect too fast. And trust me, after 25-30 minutes, it will nearly difficult, really difficult for you to stay there, even in cold weather. Whereas in the whole such a huge pyramid, you can be anywhere else and feel cold.
Why is it so?
This is because of the geometry, what I'm talking about right now. So these pyramids, these temples, they have certain geometrical combinations. I have certain friends in certain countries in Europe who are working on the geometrical design of different objects. And every object, every design has an effect. Even when you look at it, it has an effect. Being inside it has more effect. So when you are staying inside a pentagonal shaped building, or we are staying inside a hexagonal shaped building or a circular shaped building, the effect is different. So earlier, everything made in India was as per Vastu, and not only in India, any great culture. In the Chinese and the Japanese culture, they use a lot of Feng Shui. And I think even in everywhere, every great thing has a proper design, a proper code. So that has to be followed. And if you see any good temple, I'm not judging them, but you will see, if you witness them carefully, every good temple will have a yantra at the top.
Right, yeah.
Even if you go to famous mosques, and you will go to famous kind of other religious bodies, if you go to a good Gurudwara, you will see a structure. There's like a matrix, there's a proper pattern there. And this pattern moves the energy in a certain way. They are basically using physics, like diamond, why it shines so much, the refractive index. So they use all these particular points to create the energy effect of the light. There are certain temples, so sunrise and sunset, they are visible at certain point in the temple, and you feel the sun is in a particular room, like 7th floor, 6th floor, 5th floor, 4th floor. Imagine the precision of the design. So, and that creates not only a beauty effect, it doesn't only affect the aesthetic, it also affects the overall energy level of the building and the people who stay in that building. Look, whichever house you stay, you will think as per the energy of the house. And I'll give a very simple example. You go to a hospital, stay in a hospital. And if you go and stay in a temple, and you go and stay in a forest, or in a garden, or in a house, even the ceiling level. I'm not an architect, but if you see, a very simple thing, if you stay in houses where the ceiling is low, and if you compare them to houses where ceiling is high, you will feel the difference. So obviously sacred geometry has a crazy effect on the temples, which in turn affect the life state, affect the mind, mood of the people inside the temple.
Very interesting. So we must understand where we are staying.
Yeah.
And if we are getting some different vibes or energy, if we can feel it, we should work on it.
Definitely, yes.
So next, does breathwork and meditation done in temples good for health?
Yes. If it's a good temple, they will have a very proper ventilation. I'm not talking about the garbhagriha. Generally, any good temple has a part called garbhagriha, where the prime energy of the deity is, especially in the goddess temples. That has a very different purpose. First of all, goddess energy connects to Mother Earth. So that will be like the baseline. That will increase the earth element of your body.
Right.
But otherwise, if you go to any place which has a good ventilation, doing any kind of breath work and meditative work helps you. Again, there are a lot of, India, I told you, have a lot of spiritual skyscrapers. So all these great people, I have great reverence for Paramahansa Yogananda, Lahiri Mahasaya, Yukteswar Giri, Ramkrishna Paramahansa, Vivekananda. They all could do things in a different way. They used to go inside the land and stay inside, practice some Bhumi Samadhi and all. That is all advanced practices. So their breathing rate becomes so deep and slow that their oxygen consumption is very low. So but that needs a different level of mental stillness.
And practice as well.
Because by practice they have reached a level where their thinking rate has become very low. Now if your thinking rate is very low, your breath intake will also become slow. You don't need that much oxygen. You will see in colder countries, I've got proper videos, links and all of crocodiles and alligators doing hibernation in very cold weather. So they'll just keep their snout out of water, remaining whole body is literally freezed. Polar bear, if you do a proper electroencephalograph mapping on them, they're like in their brain waves are in a very still state. So imagine animals can also do that, and some of them are doing far better than what humans can do.
What about dolphins?
Dolphins, after humans, are considered one of the most intelligent
Right.
beings. They use a sonar system to communicate. Again, you see, it's like a telepathy.
Right.
They're not using cell phones to communicate. Each dolphin can send a message to another dolphin through a huge distance.
Wow.
Okay, I'm not saying humans are not great. Humans are great in their own ways, but they are also a unique design of God. So it's all development, and you should try to improve yourself in whichever way, but definitely temples are good, their geometry is good, and if it is made properly, inside temple, if you meditate, don't just go there, see the deity, worship and come back. It's not, don't make it so mechanical. Try to get the feel. Try to get soaked in the energy around the temple and inside the temple. Because if it's a good temple, lot of sadhana, lot of I would say a lot of processes have been followed there, and there has been a lot of culture of hymns, there are a lot of culture of fire ceremonies. All this energy is soaked in that temple. So if you are in that environment, you are not only getting the energy of what is happening at that day in the temple, all the element of all what has happened. Like you will see, and I'll tell it's very scientific. If you use a particular yoga mat to do your yoga practices every day, for suppose few years, let's say 3 or 4 years later, try it just like that to do it without that yoga mat, a new yoga mat or that previous yoga mat. You will feel more comfortable, enter more mental peaceful state with the previous yoga mat. And it's not only about yoga and spirituality. This is in everything. If you go to give an interview in a particular dress, like say blue color or green color, yellow color, and you like it the way it goes, whenever you wear that color, you will feel more confident.
Right. True.
Even with football players and all, I've seen that certain players prefer to have a particular kind of jersey, have a certain number. So they're also following that. Don't think only only normally people are doing it. Everybody has their own mental mapping and a way to take themselves to that high.
Right. And faith. And after understanding that thing, if we start believing, as we start thinking on it, we become that, and we imbibe those energy in that way. And meditating in a particular place at any home. So if we meditate at the same place, if we change anytime, we don't feel that comfort, or we don't feel that the same energy at other place.
Correct.
And that's wonderful, Yash. Well, after understanding all these things, the question is striking that is very much important, and I want to understand, as I have gone through that stage. This question is especially for youngsters. What message is for youngsters who feel and who believe that modern society and ancient cultural behavior doesn't go hand in hand?
Let's see what is the perspective of modern society. When I use the word modern society, it's based on, I would say, good quality of communication facilities, including phone, internet, fax, all these different facilities to communicate easily. Social media. Apart from personal media, social media and all these communication facilities, ability to have a cross-cultural connection, cross-national connection. Now it's very easy to meet people from different nationalities. But if you study strong individuals of any other country also, they're following certain habits.
True.
If you study any strong individual, like recently Ronaldo in an interview said that he was promoting water. He said, this is life. So he's one of the best football players in the world. If he's saying water is more important than any of other drinks, he's basically telling you that he's being very grounded there. He's not trying to say, oh, this super drink is this and that is that. No, he's saying something very simple. So every great culture and every great country have people who have made that country great. So if you want to study and get motivated by them also, try to go and see deeper. Don't see at a shallow level. So right now I'm talking from the modern society. So the modern society has come up in pictures in the last 200 years. Especially since the inventions, all the major discoveries, most of them happening in West in the last 200 years. So the current cultural imbibe is basically from these countries. the kind of food we eat, the kind of vehicles we use, everything, the cultural effect, especially after industrial revolution, has been coming from the West. But there also the people who are great, Albert Einstein, Nikola Tesla, everybody who has done something substantial, Abraham Bell, so all have been studying and reached a level. Putting a ticket on a monument is very easy. Making a monument is very tough. So if you are getting impressed by a modern culture, no problem, very good. But there also try to go deeper and see who are the architects of that particular culture. And you will find that every culture has an architect. There may be a few layers inside the scene, but there is always an architect. If this world is beautiful, there is someone who has made this world so beautiful.
Right.
If human body works in certain way or animal body works in certain way, imagine how much is the conscious energy of someone or something which has created this design. Now coming back to the Indian culture. When you meet a Western person, they know about their culture more than you know about their culture. You can't tell a Japanese guy about Japanese food. Out of 10, 9 of the Japanese guy would be knowing about Japanese food more than you generally. Same about China, same about Mexico, same about US also. So my point is, they will respect you more if you know about your culture. And it has happened with my direct experience in a lot of countries. They directly told me this. So recently I met a former president of a country. I had a very good interaction with him. And first day I went in my relatively in more modern clothes, I would say. And next day I met him in exactly this kind of dress. And he was much more happy to see me in this kind of dress because he says this represents India.
Wow.
So in his mind, and it's interesting, imagine the respect for India. A lot of countries, people say I for India. Like A for apple, B for ball, I for India. They link India with a spiritual transformation energy. Nearly all the great people, Steve Jobs, nearly all the Bill Gates, everybody, they have a very high respect for India's spiritual transformation power, including miracles. So now what people say in India that we are too much about superstition, but the Westerners from whom we are getting motivated, they take India in that angle only. Obviously, India is strong in certain ways by itself, technologically, culturally, economically. India is growing definitely, but India's spiritual heritage is something which Westerners are crazy about. Most Westerners who visit India, they are not visiting here for watching some modern skyscrapers and all. No, generally it's far more developed in their country. They come to India because they have a hope of spiritual development. And I'm talking by my interaction not only with Westerners visiting India, I'm talking by my last 8 years of time I spent mostly in these countries also. They have a great reverence for India's spiritual culture, which we Indians don't have. And I see if there's a small monument or structure in West, how much grand they would talk about it. And India has so many grand structures, great structures, that we Indians don't know about much. One of my biggest surprises of my life was I went to meet one of the richest guys in the world. And he was having his own mega yacht. And I was so impressed that, and I'm talking on like direct record, he has made it literally like mandatory. He was encouraging his very young children to study and watch Ramayana.
Wow.
I have not seen that in India. That age group, like children under 10, they were watching and studying Ramayana every day. Imagine my surprise and my happiness. And when I asked him, because I love Mahabharata also, so I asked him, why not Mahabharata and why Ramayana? And he said, Ramayana teaches you why you should be righteous. So before Mahabharata, you must know Ramayana. So my point is very interesting, and this is coming from someone, I don't want to name the country, I don't want to name the person, but it's coming someone who is not Indian and knows about culture.
And as you said about the very famous businessmen, Steve Jobs and even Mark Zuckerberg, they also visited a lot of places, and especially when their business, was not at a good state. They came to visit.
Especially when the time is going bad and you don't have any hope. Look,
Great.
everyone has their own process. As I said, India is so great that when I mention any one saint, I'm doing injustice to so many others. Look, India, I'm telling you, the more you travel inside India or outside India, and if you do real travel, not like just visiting and coming back like holiday,
No, yeah.
you will see how much reverence people have for India, and not only people who are generic. I'm talking about achievers. When you are in front of an achiever, a Westerner achiever, and you talk ill about India, trust me, they don't respect
They will
you
not,
that.
yeah.
Because first of all, they think someone who can't respect their own culture can't respect my culture.
Very true.
Will maximum be an opportunistic person. So if you can't do something for India, at least don't talk against India. Because that doesn't make you a great guy in front of them. That will only prove how mediocre you are.
Very interesting, Yash. Thank you for telling all these things, which will definitely give a great insight to youngsters. And now I want to understand, what is your takeaway from Ayodhya Ram Mandir temple?
Development about Ayodhya. Look, first of all, it's a great change. First of all, however you take it, it's a great change. Which means this will bring an effect not only on the local population and that particular area. This will make change in the whole country, and obviously I believe in the whole world. I'll tell you why, point wise, objective, not subjective. First of all, spiritual tourism. When you see the way they have been doing, and they've been doing it very properly, if you visit the place, you will see the kind of hard work they are doing. It creates a great cultural center, and wherever culture improves, economy improves. Like I would compare to the Vatican City. If it's a big cultural center, the kind of effect it has on the population and everything. Because whether there's any religion in the world or not, commerce itself is a religion.
Very true.
Any person following any religion is also following commerce.
Without commerce,
nothing. So it's like any religious center in the world has some kind of commerce. So my saying is, commerce is one of the religion. So any good development, any kind of good structural development, spiritual religious development, involves certain effect on the commercial perspective, which will help the population there. Look, it's not just one person is getting benefited. The whole people, the whole consciousness of every religion, caste and creed there will get benefited. So it's a social development. It's not a particular religious or community development. A certain section of society, as well as the whole society and a whole state will develop. So it's first of all a very good move. Because if I see earlier, there was nothing there. Now there's a huge development. So it's good for people. Look, people want development, understand. For anybody, as I said, survival comes first. So it's a great change from a social perspective. Now come from spiritual perspective. A lot of people will come to know about their culture. The biggest change I have witnessed in the last 10 years is that now people know a lot about culture. Otherwise, I had such incidents where people don't know who is Arjun and they don't know much about Lord Krishna. Whereas it's accepted, even in every way. We follow, even if you see from any perspective, we follow certain orders and it's accepted. But we are not aware of that. Last 10 years, the awareness is increasing about our own culture. And this brings you respect, not only in your own eyes, in eyes of others, also Western countries. I'm not saying follow them completely or follow us completely. No. Learning is always good. But knowing your baseline is always an advantage for you. They have certain skills, please imbibe their skills. But also develop your own skills. Because when a situation comes where you need to really take a stand, all the skills will be required. So again, I am referring from Mahabharata, that Krishna says this to Arjun, that तुम महाभारत युद्ध में दिव्यास्त्रों का प्रयोग करो चाहे नहीं करो, तुम्हारे पास होने सारे चाहिए. When you go into any kind of situation where you are really well prepared, your opposition first of all will not want to fight. You are not only making a situation to win, you are also making a situation where the war will not happen at all. That's why being strong is not a choice. If you are giving time to become strong in any way, you are doing a great service to yourself and your opposition also. And many times your opposition will respect you. Earning respect from your friends is one thing. Earning respect from your opposition
It's a great
is
thing.
a great thing. इसलिए कोशिश करनी चाहिए. कुछ हो ना हो अलग बात है, पर कोशिश नहीं की ये गलत बात है. So that's why you should always try to improve. So it's a very great development. Like whoever is doing it, whatever way, and I know a lot of people have contributed for this. It's very nice. Any development, anything which leads to development is very good. And because when development starts, development is like fire. It will not touch one person and leave another. Development will affect everyone in that region. So that's a very welcoming step, I would say, and I wish them all the best.
Thank you so much, Yash, for coming up with such a wonderful topic which people will love like anything. And I would request you, please come again and we will discuss more on different topics. So,
Sure.
friends, I must recommend you, please go through the both episodes on importance of temples and do not forget to like, share, subscribe PMC English. Thank you so much.
Thank you.